Good. It would be every time Sanjana tries to go into like a more casual, I'm back with my documentary facts. Hi guys, welcome to Girl Math Podcast. I'm Julia Farhana.
And I'm Sanjna Suri.
Girl Math basically means a girl's perspective. You may agree to disagree. Thank you very much. I didn't come up with the name, by the way. Sanjana did. I was
You're
going to call
welcome.
this the Wellness Podcast. Which one would you have preferred? I know. So we started this podcast for individuals of various backgrounds to come together to share their stories and their struggles and experiences, because I feel like I meet so many inspiring women in the industry and in other various industries. And I've never really heard their stories, especially in Malaysia. I hear a lot from Americans and people in Europe via like various podcasts around the world. And I thought, like, at least also young girls in Malaysia would have someone to look up to or someone to refer to. And I personally have loved exploring different aspects of people's lives. I love listening to their stories. And I was saying different aspects of people's lives, in case you heard lies. I was talking about lives. I love listening to their stories. Being a psychologist myself, I'm always curious about where I can improve myself, how I can be a better person for myself and for those around me, especially to people I love. And whenever I attend events, I notice that I've always had basic conversations with people I meet, and it's very surface level. And I don't blame them. It's not a safe space because in the industry, we hear a lot of people go through things like their stories getting twisted and their stories taken out of context, or their sharing is taken out of context. And the worst, the truth is fabricated. I personally have gone through that too. So I know that it's not a place to share personal stories or experiences because the intention may be misunderstood. So that's why we created this podcast, because we want this place to be a place that people would feel safe to share. It's a safe space for women across various industries, especially in the entertainment industry, to share whatever they want to share and have it recorded, so they know that their perspective is not taken out of context.
The first season is called The Basics. Now, what are the basics in life? Love, happiness, peace, excitement, and all this comes from family, friendship, significant other, career, finances, and so much more. So each season will have 8 episodes, and we thought, what a better way to start off this podcast than an episode or a topic that my co-host Julia has struggled with her entire life: female friendship. But before that, Ju, why don't you introduce yourself to others out there who may not know you as much as I do?
Wow. Okay. I'm always awkward with this part, honestly. I'm Julia Farhana Marine. I am at a certain age that you don't have to know. And I am an actress, a TV host. But prior to being in the entertainment industry, I was in the banking industry. And I started my career in the entertainment industry quite late in my life. It's like in my mid-20s. That's considered late actually for someone who wants to venture into entertainment industry. It's always like the prime age is always like when you're in your teens, 17, 18. That's the prime age. Then you build your career from there. So I've been in the industry for a few years, and I'm very, very lucky, to be honest, to have been given like a lot of opportunities. And I feel like I've achieved most of what I wanted to achieve as an actress. I've done action, I've done heavy drama, I've done various Penyondol versions, and I've done comedy. So I'm really, really satisfied with where my career has taken me. This is our first podcast together, and I'm hosting also a podcast, which is a dream come true. I've always wanted to produce a podcast. And other than that, honestly, personally, I'm very introverted. I would say, or maybe an ambivert. I'd say I'm a bit of both, because with my close friends, I'm an extrovert. But with people I just met, I am an introvert. And people would assume I'm actually very extroverted, but I'm not. However, I am friendly. If you said hi, I'd love having conversations. So I think that's pretty much about me. What else would you want to know?
I think I know a lot about you already.
Yeah, but like
and
as a person who don't know me, what do you think they're curious to know? I know you're not wearing sunscreen. You do know repeated sun exposure with little to no protection is going to cause damage to elastin, collagen, and skin cells. Do you know what that means?
But Julia, tennis was your idea.
Wearing sunscreen every day will prevent inflammation from UV rays.
But Julia, swimming was your idea.
Not without sunscreen. It is clean, uses plant-based ingredients, and good for all skin, especially sensitive skin. Your makeup with SPF is not enough. You have to use a lot more makeup to actually reach the label SPF. Use this. Its hydrating formula is going to give you a very dewy base. Trust me!
Julia, leave me alone.
No! Please, sun protection factor SPF protects you from a specific ultraviolet light called UVB.
But Julia, most of the sunscreen makes my skin sticky and I look grey.
Not Melissa. It is invisible with no white cast or a greasy residue. Won't leave your skin grey either. This is the vegan Airfit sunscreen with SPF 50+. This invisible ultralight facial sunscreen protects the skin from UV rays and pollution. Infused with nutrient-rich kale extract, the plant-derived formula delivers SPF 50+ protection while helping to moisturize and soothe the skin. The non-greasy, fast-absorbing texture keeps the skin hydrated with a matte finish.
You either wear this or haunt you for the rest of your life.
What do you like when you're alone?
Wow. I read a lot. I'm always on my laptop or my iPad, researching and reading. I love reading. I read random things, and there's always like something I'm researching about. Like there would be a time where I researched about where our sampa would go to. I know like that's unusual.
Yeah.
I would say it's unusual. I researched a lot about water and the different types of water available in the world and the pH level and what it does to your skin and your health and whatnot. Yeah, those are the kind of things I do on my own all the time, 24/7.
Always menimba ilmu.
Yeah. And what about you, son?
Well, my name is Sanjana Suri. I'm 21 years old for the past 100 years. Don't question me more about that. I was born in Ipoh, Perak, but I've moved to KL ever since I was 1 year old plus. I have one younger sister. I'm not married, but I can't wait to be. About my career, I am an actress currently, but previously I worked as a pharmacist. I studied in University of Cyberjaya. And I was also working as a model. I represented Malaysia in a couple of beauty pageants. And today I'm an actress and I'm also in the midst of still finding myself. And hopefully it's this podcast. Things that really moves me are any form of love. Love between friends, family, your pets, your kids, to the environment, anything with a lot of passion and with love, those things move me. I used to be a very, very outgoing person, an extrovert, but since I'm 21 years old now, I have actually found a lot more value in peace, in quiet, and with a small circle. I have three best friends and a couple of good friends, and I feel like my family and my friends are the motivation for me to go further in life.
That's
That's me.
beautiful.
Yes.
And I'd like to add on a few things. Sanjana is a very loving person, if you know her. And if you are very privileged to be part of her very small circle, which I am very lucky to be a part of, she's very supportive. Since we're talking about female friendships, but, like you should
Aw.
know what and how I view you as a friend. I don't think we've ever had this conversation.
Actually, we haven't. Thank
We've
God for my
never.
tissue. Ju, I have a lot of
Exactly.
black eyeliner on. You don't want me to look like a
I'm not
ghoul.
trying to make you cry.
Okay, you try. See me in
Okay.
love.
Yeah, receive
Yeah.
this love. And she is an extremely hardworking, driven woman, especially when it comes to work. If she's your friend, the potential to FFK is very high. I've experienced that 10 out of 10 times. I'm not exaggerating.
9 out of 10 lah, Ju. Birthday
10
you?
out of 10. When have you ever not FFK'd me, baby?
Your birthdays?
True. But
Um,
those are not FFK situations.
how could you? Yeah, you're right.
So
That shouldn't be.
potentially, she's even FFK'd me for events.
Mm.
That has happened. Don't you? I can't make it. My dog died. My dog drowned. My dog has
never died.
diarrhea.
How did 8
Dog
out of 10
nearly
is
died.
true.
It's true. He nearly
I have
died.
a
You were in
dog.
the hospital with Teddy, and I'm like, are you for
I
real?
am for
And
real.
then I'm like, okay, I'm used to it. And I never used that against you or got very mad or disappointed with you because I know there's so many other qualities that I don't get in a female friend. So I think like, that's one thing I can tolerate. Although I cannot tolerate anyone else who would FFK me.
Mm.
But with you, I'm like, I can tolerate that because you have 9 out of 10 qualities that I love,
Mm.
you know? And yeah, other than that, as an actress, I think you're someone who would really push yourself and you're really, really committed
Mm.
when you're at work. And you've never FFK'd me for work. And to those who don't know what FFK is, it's actually like I think
Pong
it's a
Fei Kei, I think.
Cantonese term,
Mm.
which translates to Fong Fei Gei,
I think so.
which means like you let um you fly a paper plane that goes nowhere and it just lands poof, and it is a term used popularly in a
In
Chinese
Malaysia,
community
yeah.
in Malaysia to say that this person promises but does not show up.
We also teach you different phrases in different languages in Girl Math.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn about Julia Lapula. She's a very, very driven person. I think this stems from her childhood. So she's just always, always doing something. She can't sit put and just chill. She's always either want to menimba ilmu, finding opportunities and all that. And I feel she's a very driven go-getter girl. As a friend, she's always finding she's always trying to find her circle of friends. She really values female friendships.
Like,
And I think that when you get to know her, when like if you get to know her the way I do,
for 8 years,
for
we've been
eight
together for
years,
8 years.
you will see all sorts of her different colors and all that, but she always comes from a place of love. Dia tak pernah kedekut ilmu. She was the girl who first got me my first Acacia slot. And being in this industry, and I
Yeah.
know how I look and I can be a little, macam RBF ke apa, she never had any sort of like jealousy or like things of herself in a different way. She's always out there giving me opportunities, not worried if whatever will happen in the future. And I think that's just a very, very rare quality to find in a female friend.
Oh.
Lagi-lagi dalam industry ni yang so competitive. So when she started doing that, I
I'm never
realized,
competitive.
yeah,
I don't
because
compete, I
she
don't
believes in
compare.
like everyone has their own recipe. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. And I've
And
never felt such a selfless attitude from many of my female friends.
and also because there is no competition.
Mm.
If that person looks the part, looks the role, it's
Mm.
theirs,
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it doesn't when you don't get a role gun in acting, it's not because you're not good or you're not qualified.
Yeah.
You're already in the industry. It already shows your qualification.
Yeah.
But sometimes just that's just why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very colorful life with you. It's never a dull day. Most of the time, she does not stop talking when she's with me. Her logic is she rarely sees me, which is
It
not true.
is.
But
It's
when
true.
we rarely meet, and then she's got 1,001 stories. It's like if I haven't met her for 2 days, now Mars. She's
Because
living in Mars. It feels like it's
exactly,
a
can
different
you
story.
imagine? Because every day I menimba ilmu and I
Yeah,
always
something to
learn
share.
something and I always have something to share, but I don't really have anyone to share it with because nobody wants to learn.
Hmm.
People want to talk about the latest gossip and people want to talk about what's happening in the news, and
Yeah.
it's almost always entertainment news because I'm surrounded by people in the entertainment, and I'm like, does anybody want to talk about the economy? Does anybody want to listen to my research about water?
I think that's also one thing about us. Like when we were having like a discussion yesterday, we realized we have conversations that I also don't have with anyone else, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's special about our relationship. That's why we can sustain for 8 years. And
Mm.
I pray to God it will be more. I hope you're my front porch girl.
Yeah, of course. I kind of believe we will
Mm.
be each other's front porch girls
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I definitely would be able to grow with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 8 years and we never stopped growing.
I know.
It's crazy because like I have always like evolved
Mm.
over the years through different phases. I have evolved in obviously physically we would evolve and grow, and I've evolved through my emotions. I've
Mm.
evolved through my mental capacity and my career. Everything
Yeah.
is always growing. And because I'm not someone who believes in like a stagnant life,
Mm.
because I
If you're
believe that
stagnant, it's not growing.
this life is a form of amanah to my creator. So
Mm.
amanah, to those of you who are listening and don't understand, amanah is like a responsibility as a Muslim that is expected of you expected from you.
Mm.
And amana could involve your health, the way you take care of yourself, the way you take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, and religiously, spiritually. It's a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And every day, I don't want to waste a single minute
Mm.
of that amana.
And I think every time I spend time with you, it's all a lot of quality time. It's very rare we just sit down there and do nothing. I'm always learning something. My life becomes more enriched, more insightful thanks to you. And speaking of quality,
Yeah,
quality friendship, I feel, takes a lot of initial hard work.
of
They're
course.
your chosen family.
Yeah.
Just like how families are never perfect, friendships are not perfect either. But we need to be patient. We need to nurture our friendship.
I just want to add something real quick.
Mm.
Did you know that Michael Yarbor I know I'm trying to. It's like every time Sanjana tries to go into like a more casual, I'm back with my documentary facts and stuff.
Well, that's
But just the
our.
last one.
Mm-hmm.
Last one. Did you know that Michael Yarbrough wrote an article that every one of us grow and evolve through imitating our role model?
Mm.
And sometimes you don't realize that your friends are your role models.
Mm.
And because your role models are actually people you're surrounded with and people you actually look up to.
Mm.
So who are these young girls, or even for me? Do you know that I have someone I look up to even at this age? I'm
Who?
always growing and evolving. At the moment, it's Datin Vivi Yusuf. I love the way she thinks. I love her.
She's a big fan of Datin Vivi
I
Yusof.
am. I
You
have a
are.
book. Please sign it, Datin Vivi. Please sign the book that I bought, which Sanjana was supposed to get it
So
for
yeah,
me.
a little quick story.
Mhm.
She was away during that period where Datin Vivi Yusof.
And we got an invitation
Yes, for to
to
her
her
event of her book
book
signing and
launching.
book launching,
Yeah.
and Julia
And it was a
made
celebrity
sure that I
event.
would go for it and get her book signed, but I
She
don't know what was
FFK'd
the
me,
reason I
guys.
couldn't make it on that day. So Datin Vivi Yusof,
Something
if you're
really
ever
off.
watching this, please sign her book, love, please. So at least one of my FFK, at least I don't feel so bad or guilty about it.
Yeah, I was actually looking forward to it, and you never text me, so I'm like, she didn't go. She didn't get my book signed.
No, I
But
told
you
you
know
I
what?
couldn't,
Maybe it's a
yeah.
special moment reserved for me to get it
I
myself.
know. Correct.
You
You're
never know.
welcome.
Because a week after that,
Yeah.
a week after her book launch, I met her at an event.
Mm.
Yeah, it was prior to me wearing a hijab, so I can't post it. So I met her, I met my role model,
Mm.
and she is as lovely as she is online and offline and in her book. She's funny, and I remember her being extremely kind
Mm.
and extremely she didn't question what I went through. Like I think I shared a similar experience to her, but not as big of a scale as what she went through. So I shared that, and she said, "Oh, really?" And she was very engaging.
Right.
She wasn't someone that you would have a conversation with and she wasn't paying attention
Right.
to how you feel or what you went through and the
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So that's one of my role models, coming back to like what Michael Yarbrough wrote in
She
the
sounds
article.
amazing, and I can't wait. I really hope we get her for our season 2.
I really hope so too. Fingers crossed. Tag her, please, guys, so that she watches this episode and we can get her in
Yes,
season
please.
2 or 3. And yeah, so she's one of my role models, and I have two other role models. Nicole Brennan, my teacher, she is based in the US. She's not here. She is my character development teacher. Can you imagine I have a character development teacher?
No, I'm
Sounds
not
so
surprised.
funny.
Thanks to you, you have given me so many of her insightful tips that has helped me in my way
Yeah.
for free.
And over the years, I've had amazing teachers, Jojo Joyce, Savvy Ho. If you're one of those who are in your self-development era, if you are, look for Savvy Ho. She's amazing. Jojo Joyce from Ohana Jo. She's the founder, and she's really good with like meditation. And I think I found a lot of myself through my teachers. And these are the people I look up to. Now, finding my teachers was a struggle. It wasn't as easy as, okay, I'm looking for my teacher, and hence they showed up. No. So this is what I hope this podcast will become for young girls out there. They find their role model through
Right.
us, because I want to bring inspiring
Right.
women to, share their stories and experiences. And it's actually psychologically proven
Right.
that you evolve as a person through people around you and who you subconsciously imitate.
Right.
And for me, people around me are extremely successful women. They may or may not know this.
Right.
And you're one of them. You're one of those friends, right, who developed emotional intelligence very quickly, despite your age. You're one of those who are very grounded. Because people normally find their grounding element in their late 30s or early 40s, but you got it so young. And I feel like emotionally you were able to hold space for me without um getting offended
Mm.
or um questioning my experience. I remember I found this one voice recording of us,
Mm.
and this was way back in like 2017 or 2018. We were just becoming close as friends.
Mm.
And I remember in that voice recording, I cried listening to it a few months ago. I was sharing with you my experience in childhood, and
Mm.
I really cannot remember the details now, but I remember your response in that voice recording. You were so supportive of me. You were so supportive despite my BS.
Mm.
I was sharing complete BS. And I was like, what if I was this person at that time? I'm like, but you were so supportive and accepting of who I was at that time,
Mm.
what I was going through at that time.
Mm.
And of course, thinking and remembering that moment, I was like, hmm, that was a time where I was still finding myself.
Right.
And you were there since day one, you know?
Mm.
And I think like that's one of the qualities that you need in a female friend. It's very
Holding
important.
space as well and being
Exactly.
patient. Yeah, and I think it's very important because like this front porch story we mentioned before,
Mm.
you are also like how you said you have role models where they guide you to become who you are. You also get influenced with your friends because they are your people. They're the ones you're going to be spending a lot of your time with. So imagine when you're 70 years old, who would you like to have coffee with at your front porch? Who would be the people that you visualize connecting with? And these are the people, kalau you dah cari diorang, you kena jaga diorang betul-betul because these people don't come easy. Someone you can resonate with, someone you can learn from, someone that you genuinely enjoy their time.
Yeah.
These are 5 people out of 7 billion in the world. Once you have them, you kena jaga.
Yeah.
And so you're
Although
one of the five.
you're only exposed like to probably like 2,000 people in your
True,
lifetime.
true. But I mean, these are the chosen people. You
Yeah.
kena jaga. And
Yeah.
so, who are your five? Have you found your five?
Before I get there,
Mm,
you mentioned like such a good thing. It's like how do you sustain female friendships, right?
right.
Or because we're specifically talking about female friendship because the
Correct.
dynamic with an opposite gender is completely different.
Yep.
Your friendship with the opposite gender can be entirely different because females, we unfortunately have this underlying insecurity when you have a female friend, because then you compare yourself and then you question your worth
Right.
around another female friend.
Right.
At least for me in my teen years, like
Mm,
I no longer have that, but as a teenager I remember I wasn't much of a jealous person, and I never compared beauty. It was never physical. It was always amongst like a group of friends, who was the best quality friend,
mm,
who was the best one. However, thinking about it now, I realize like at that time, growing up in high school, I had like a group of girlfriends who were all extremely successful in their own way.
mm.
And we were in school. What
Right.
success are we talking about? We're talking
Exactly.
about grades.
UPS lah.
We're talking about character. We're talking
Right.
about humor. Who had the best humor? It wasn't about who was the prettiest. It was
Right.
who was the smartest.
Hmm.
My group of girlfriends at that time was who was the smartest,
Hmm.
who was the most outgoing, who
Hmm.
was the most the greatest in certain things like PR or achievements in school. Your sports achievement was a thing. Your
Hmm.
grade achievement was a thing,
Hmm.
and I was one of those with the least to offer. I think
Hmm.
that's how I developed a sense of wanting to be the best
Right.
at something. Hence the what do you call that? The interest in wanting to learn.
Hmm.
That's where it developed in high school because all my friends were high achievers.
Right.
I wasn't. I never started
Right.
out like that. I was always the girl in the corner who was always by herself.
Hmm.
I was always the quiet one, and I was always the one who didn't really study because I was going through a lot at home.
Hmm.
Nobody noticed that about me. I couldn't manage my emotions because I was confused with what was happening at home.
Hmm.
My parents were never home. You know my childhood story.
Yeah, I do.
And I never really connected with anyone. And nobody ever asked. So I went through high school like that the first 2 years.
Hmm.
And I was very new in Malaysia. I didn't understand the culture. I was very lonely. I was isolated.
Mm.
But it was all self-inflicted
Mm.
because I never really know how to make friends. I
Mm.
didn't know how to socialize.
Just an awkward kid.
Awkward kid because my mom never exposed me to other peers my age. I was always at home with my siblings. That was it.
Mm.
And I remember these girls took me in.
Mm.
They were a group of girls. They were like this girl gang who were very high achievers. If you girls are watching, they're Phoebe, Tamisha, Yvonne, um, Desiree, and then there was me.
Mm.
So it was five of us, and these four girls were high achievers. They were like straight A students,
Oh my God.
president of the English club,
Right.
president of like pengawas, president of everything,
Right.
and I was nothing. I was this quiet, awkward
And
kid.
then that was Julia.
Guess what? Guess how I got there?
Mm.
So I'll never forget this. So I was this quiet kid who didn't make friends, right? One day I was just walking from one end to the other end of the school. I don't know where I was headed. I don't remember the details, but I remember Ethan coming up to me, mentioning all these names. Please don't go Google them, or you can't find them on Google or Instagram them, right? So Ethan came up to me and say, "Hey, would you like to join our debate team?"
Mm.
And guess what? I was nervous and I was like, debate? What is that? I didn't even know what was debate, let alone like public speaking and all that. I was like, I don't know. And then he was like, but it'll be fun. And I didn't have friends. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is an opportunity to
Right.
make friends.
Right.
So I joined the team. That's where I met Phoebe. And then, because she was part of the debate team. And then I met all my friends there. So she introduced me to the girl group. And then we got really close. And by observing them, I subconsciously imitated them. That's what Michael wrote in the article, right? So I realize it now. That's true. I did imitate my friends. I became a high achiever. I became someone who was finally planning my life, like where am I headed, and I was finally um, driven to achieve something in life because these girls were so successful.
Right.
Yeah. So that's one of my fondest memories in female friendship. And that group was the reason I became really popular in school. Because I was always on stage. Then I always wanted to improve myself because I had to keep up with these girls.
True.
Every year they're achieving something new. Someone is in netball, someone's doing this, someone's doing that, someone won tennis. I'm like, really? Enough to keep up with sports too?
Right.
These girls were always achieving something.
Right.
And then they were like friends with international school kids. And that's how I developed my character. So, fingers crossed.
I appreciated that. View, view, view.
I went on to do my own things because I couldn't just be with these girls because they would go in their separate direction and come back and say, I achieved this, what did you achieve? What did you achieve? And I was like, and I always had nothing to share. So I was like, you know what? I gotta come back next time with something to share. So I enrolled in public speaking and I enrolled in debate. And then I remember at one point I became president of Taekwondo Club. I became president of the student body for a while. And then I don't think it was student body. No, I can't remember what it was now. I was president of 3 different clubs. So I had something to share now, you know? And then I was also
So
in
these
a
friends
lot
were not
of,
school friends.
these were school friends.
Ah, so
but
you
we
would
were
just
different
share it every
classes.
day. Okay, okay, different
Yeah,
class.
every
Patut.
month or every semester, I can't
faham.
remember.
Okay,
we would come
okay.
together and there's always something we would share on a, like achievement, or it was also very unconsciously shared because another friend would share this person's achievement, that person's achievement, you know.
Right.
And I always had to keep up with the group. And they were quite popular girls, especially the young sisters. I don't know if they know this. They're quite popular because they were always straight A students.
Right.
And then, I became president of a few clubs. I was very active. And guess what? Somebody came up to me during lunch in front of my girlfriends one day. And she said, like, I admire you, Julia. I want to be as brave as you to do public speaking one day. I became the popular kid. And then I was like, oh,
Wow.
wow, I have something to share now. And then I was like, somebody admires me? That's rare. That's never happened. Because I was always this shy girl with nothing to share. So yeah, that was my fondest memory of female friendships. And we still keep in touch. Yvonne is in Malaysia, so we still keep in touch. And Tamisha moved to Australia. Phoebe, her sisters are doctors, and I think she became a lecturer, but I don't really keep in touch with Phoebe because I think she moves as well to a different country. So yeah, all my friends are doing really well, and they
Wow.
are my first female
Female
friendships who
friendship.
made me really develop into someone who wanted to be successful. Yeah.
Hmm.
What about you?
Funny story, we also have a same name, Yvonne. She was my best friend growing up from
Wow.
standard one to I think like secondary school. So I also had a group of high achievers. It was Yvonne, Yanmei, and Tiffany. I kid you not, one's number one, one's number two. This Tiffany and Yanmei keep competing for number one and number two. And then maybe Yvonne would be number four. So my target was, oh my God, my parents would give me so much pressure. Look at your friends and look at you. So I will get like number 10, number 12. Tapi, if you think about it, there was like five, six different classes. We were in the first class. So now that I think about it, my
Right.
achievement was not bad, but I thought I was terrible because my benchmark was one, two, and maybe four. And I would remember like how those two will be pengawas, kita tak jadi pengawas Yvonne and I, so we ended up being librarian. Anything but wearing the normal color pinafore just to seem a bit, I'm not normal, I'm a librarian. My God,
A
what a
part of this group of
yeah, and
successful high achiever
yes,
girls.
and dude, the color of the librarian's clothes did not gel with me, babe. It was yellow as a top and chocolate, young. Oh my God, that is poo color chocolate. Oh, with my afro hair was so bad. With my singing glasses, because I kept sitting on it. But these were my friends. And what I learned from them, apart from like working hard and achieving and all that, it's actually from Yvonne, especially because she was my best friend. For me, beauty was important.
Yeah.
For me, beauty was very important. Although it wasn't spoken about in my group of girlfriends much,
Mm.
but we were frequently compared thanks to the guys. So
Mm.
we would sit in class just minding our own business, and I would feel like, in the moment with my friends, and then there comes one or two guy bullies, be like, "Why is your friend so beautiful? Why do you look like crap? Why is your
Mm.
sister so beautiful? Why do you look like this? Why is
Mm.
even your mom and grandmother who comes in report card day so cantik, tapi mukanya macam sial?" All this shit I would get. And so over time, I actually realized my friendship started being worse because of my mentality and my attitude. I started comparing myself to my best friend, Yvonne, who just looked like a doll, like a beautiful oriental doll.
Mm.
And I would think maybe she doesn't not realize this now, but what if she realizes I'm not that special? Because I wasn't like that growing up. You know this, but to those who don't know, I was really tall at a very young age, towering over everyone. My name is Sanjana Suri. They would call me Surya KLCC. They would call me Suri Ruma. I had a gray skin because I was doing sports a lot. My hair would grow upwards instead of downwards. It was just such a mess.
Yeah.
And with my bunny teeth and all that, I just had so much of negativity around me of being called ugly that I was worried that my friends would see that too and I would be ditched. Then I would be friendless.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I would cover it up with a lot of jokes and all that, but I would be very sarcastic to my friend. After a while,
Right.
I'd be like, okay, then you just go and be friends with them. She's like, what did I do? So
Right.
she would
Because you were
always
unaware of
I
what's
was so unaware.
underlying.
I didn't know. And I didn't even know how to voice this out to my family or
Yeah.
nothing because back then all they were like, why are you worried about all this? Don't worry about all this. Focus on your education.
Right.
And my family trying to just elevate us as kids to
Yeah. And
become
nobody acknowledged what you were feeling at
no,
that
and I
time.
didn't even know what I was feeling
Right.
because I was 7, 8, 9, that age. So over time, I started manifesting or putting it out there that she's gonna leave me. She's gonna find the pretty popular girls. And over time, my bitchy attitude, that's what she did. Over time, she felt macam this weird thing between us, and then she left. And when she left, I lost my core girlfriends.
Right.
But this is after years now.
Of course. Yeah.
Years. She tolerated me for years. We had a great time. I will remember this funny story. Back then, tak ada hair iron, kan? And
Oh
and
no.
straightening the hair was the thing to become like
Right.
them. And all my Chinese friends had straight hair. I je had upwards curly hair. So you know what my friend would do, Ju? After curriculum ke apa, I would go to a house. You know the iron like really
Straight kau.
straight. I would put my head down. This was my hair, exactly this. I'm so proud. I'm back to my roots.
Yeah.
But anyway, my hair would grow like that because ni, she would she would literally iron my hair, babe.
And make it
Iron
straight.
it to
And
make it
did it
straight.
work?
It did, but we couldn't touch the roots. So I think I'm burned, kan? It would be So it became
To those listening
yes.
who
So,
doesn't have visuals, so Sanjana is trying to visualize, like, the
oh
top
yeah,
of her hair is afro, but
afro and
the
then the
other
straight.
half is like straight.
Correct. So it looked a bit like macam like when you go to mental institution you can electrocution.
Electrocuted, yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Oh my
We
god,
went
that's
through
so
so
funny.
much, but coming back to what I learned from that is that you cannot, if you're jealous of your friend, do not project that to them.
Exactly.
Work, I mean, I was 8, 9, 10 lah kan. But
Exactly.
now that I learn, it's like if you have an issue, go within yourself,
Yeah.
check what is going on. Are you not confident with
Yeah.
yourself? Work on that. Share it with
Absolutely.
your friend. Like, you're so beautiful. I wish I was like you. I'm sorry if I'm projecting this to you.
Absolutely.
Because female friendships are so important to me, like what you explained. Like, there's something that female friends can do to you that male friends can't,
It
family
makes up
can't.
who you are as a woman.
Right. So I really kena jaga diorang betul-betul. So I've lost one friend thanks to jealousy.
But it was needed for
It
you to
was.
grow.
It was.
Every friend in our life, right, whether we lost them or we're still sustaining that friendship,
Right.
it is a matter of it, one, whether it was meant to be. Second, it was a purpose for you to grow.
Yeah.
Every female friend that comes into your life came with a purpose and left with a
Definitely.
purpose
Definitely.
for a good reason. It's not necessarily a bad reason.
Mm.
And because you're talking about how to sustain friendships, and
Right.
I was talking about how we imitate people around us. See how evident that is?
Yeah.
It's like when you're growing up, you look at your five friends and you can see.
Yeah.
You can see the difference. And I wanted to answer your question. Who are the five friends I have now? Now that we talked about the past, right? Coming into the present, I think
Mm.
my five friends, like I said, I only have two at the moment.
Mm.
That's when I developed like this independence. Away from my friends, who am I?
Mm.
And that's when I slowly got into acting. I
Mm.
really, really listened to my gut and I asked myself, what is it that I loved the most about myself in high school?
Mm.
Performance.
Mm.
Every time I was on stage, although I had stage frights. But
Mm.
I remember that was the most satisfying and liberating feeling I've ever felt. So I
Mm.
went back. I
Right.
went to classes, I went to schools, and then fast forward, I met you.
Oh, on set.
You're on set. Of course, I had other female friendships prior to our friendship, but they never worked out because
Mm.
there was underlying issues that I had to deal with,
Mm.
and I felt like I was always misunderstood.
Mm.
In every female friendship before you,
Mm.
I was constantly being misunderstood. I was
Mm.
accused of being jealous
Mm.
when it doesn't exist in my system.
I agree. That I can
It
vouch for.
literally doesn't not exist in my system, my heart, my brain,
Yeah.
my nervous system. It just does not exist. That word jealous has never existed.
Yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I don't think if you were so jealous, you could be my best friend.
Yeah,
The way I carry myself, the way I dress and all that. If
correct.
you were a jealous girl, and now that you're the way you are, you're hijabi and all that,
Yeah.
takkan you nak kawan dengan I.
For me, yeah. So when I was accused of that, I
Yeah,
actually questioned myself.
right.
And these are female friends, and
Yeah.
I trust them. I trust that they know me more than anybody else does. And I thought, like, am I? Until I met you. The first time I met you, I was sitting in the van. We were on the set of Salon for View, directed by Kabi Bhatia, my favorite director. And on that set, there was so many successful, independent women in their own fields, and all of them are so talented. Then I saw you walking towards the van, and I was like, "What? Another gorgeous girl!" And I wasn't intimidated by any of the women on set. I uh, I was actually excited because I'm part of this.
Mm.
It was like, oh, I'm part of this girl group who's really strong and talented and independent. I'm proud.
Mm.
I'm proud to lead this series of beautiful women. All of them have their own beauty, and
Mm.
I'm admiring every one of them. And then you came along, and I was like, wow, I wish she was my friend.
Mm.
I wish, like, she would accept me for who I am. And I remember, like, okay, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put in my earphones. I'm tired. Don't wanna talk to anyone. But then I was like, probably have to say hi. I say hi
Mm.
to her. Yeah, I'll say hi to her. And then I did. I said hi.
Mm.
I can't remember the details of our conversation, but yeah, that was how I first met you.
Mm. And I remember when I first met you, when I came into the van, you were just on your headphones,
Hmm.
just looking at your phone, probably reading the script ke apa ke, and then Because you're senior, kan, although not by age,
I
but you,
remember the phone. I was
yeah.
actually breaking up.
Oh,
I remember that.
no wonder you were so
I was
in the
emotional,
conversation. Oh,
was going through
wow.
a breakup. I remember
Yeah.
that because I remember that morning vividly. And I guess that's how I remember, like, when I looked up and you're coming along, and I was like,
Right.
whew, I was going through a lot at that time. And I was
Mm,
like, I can do this. I can push through. I will finish the series. I have to. It's a responsibility to everyone on set. It was a responsibility to my director who trusted me. At that time, I had like 70,000 followers, and followers was a thing. I
mm,
had a responsibility to view. I
mm,
was like, I cannot fail. I
mm,
cannot fail.
mm.
So yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
No wonder you were like just staring at your phone the entire time I came in. I was like, oops, I know this is the lead actress.
And nobody knew I was going through that. And they
Yeah.
thought I was being difficult. But I was going through an extremely painful heartbreak.
And that's why I didn't judge you. I'm like, I don't know you. You don't have to turn to me and just be the friendliest person in the world. You don't have to. But when you did, you still, now that I know you were going through that, you still remove your headphones, you introduce yourself to me. And I don't know, I was captivated by you because I like reading people. I like understanding people, where they come from, why are
Yeah.
they who they are. And when someone I can't quickly understand that quickly, I'm very alert, very attracted to them. They're mysterious. I want to discover more about them.
Right.
So you had this very magnetic energy, and I was just very curious, like, what is she? Who is she? And then watching you on set, I thought you were a phenomenal actress, very
Aw.
natural, very driven, very enthusiastic about whatever you do. Whatever you talk about, you're very enthusiastic. It's either this
Yeah.
is the best meal you've ever had, or it's the worst meal you ever had. This was or the best shot you've had, or this is the crappiest shot you've had. You're like that. So I'm like, wow, this girl's a lot of energy. And I was quite opposite. I was quite chill.
Yeah.
I was finding my place. But the reason why, in the end, I stood by you and like I got stuck to you as your friend is because I was going through a lot too.
Yes,
I
you
was
are.
in the midst of competing, representing Malaysia for my pageant. And I had an ex at that period who was still my partner at that time, who was really toxic, who was going around spreading a lot of things about me. And I was still finding myself. Part of me believed that story. Part of me
Mm.
was still looking for myself, and I was lost. And I think on day 3 or day 4, you resonated with me. I think we spoke about something a bit deeper.
Yeah.
And then you introduced me to inner work
Mm.
and of me discovering myself. And so that's when I started realizing of reading myself, reading my thoughts. What am I thinking about? What am I feeling?
What are the underlying emotions that you're not trying to face?
Correct. If I'm just feeling down, why am I feeling down? You
Right.
got me to dig deeper about myself,
Yeah.
and you got me to start my first ever inner journey, my own journey. And that's how I met Savvy, who you mentioned. I met Jojo. I went to Ohana Joe, and I found my place. And I felt like ever since that happened, my whole life turned around. After my pageant, I met my today's fiance. I got better in my career. I got closer with my family. I found better
You
friends.
became a lead actress in a few
Yes.
projects that you thought would never happen
I
to
thought it would
you.
never happen. Like my wildest dreams ever since I was a kid came true. And it started from you. And that's when I realized this was the power female friendships had. Because that conversations I had with you,
Mm.
I've never had with anybody in my whole life. Now
Mm.
that I'm thinking about it, Ju, I actually had no friends. No no close friends, only good friends. I was just actively dating. I was with my pageant group, my organizers. My friends were my assistants. That's how sad it was. I had zero female friends.
And I remember why. Because you went through a phase where people were always jealous of
They were.
your
I had to
looks.
dumb down. That's another topic. I had to dim my light so much
I remember.
because I started off by my light being already switched off long time ago. I found my light. I loved my light, and then I had to dim my light. I found my light through pageantry. My light was really shining. I had proper training, proper persona training. We should be talking about more in the episodes later on. And I found my light so much so it was so strong. The only people who wanted to be around me were not females, were males or people in my organization. So they
Who
were not really
admired
my
your
friends.
beauty.
Yes, only you allowed me to be myself. Only you appreciated me for my light. Only you, whenever I would hang out with you when we were closer, and I would be like, Ju, is this too much to wear? Am I overshadowing? I'm like, your response would always be, you do you. You
Mm.
taught me how to be unapologetically beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And today, I tell people, and even when I work with, when sometimes they question things, I'm like, stop dimming my light. This is me. You take me as I am. Of course lah, kalau role, kalau I kena jadi macam maid ke apa, that's different story. But I'm talking about different things. And how sometimes I'm like, why you so over? Now I can balas balik. Why are you not? Why can't I be over? This is me.
Exactly.
You want to be with me? This is me.
Mm.
But obviously lah, you have to be culturally appropriate and all that. I'm not that way. But you allowed me to be myself. And that's how I've gained this confidence of this is me. Tak suka, blah. Suka, welcome to my group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember this conversation we had. I'm not sure if you remember this,
Mm.
but it stuck with me
Mm.
because I remember I thought like I may have found my friend because we were intellectually at the same level and
Mm.
we were emotionally at the same level. We
Yeah.
were still finding ourselves. This was
Yeah.
8 years ago. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? We were both still finding ourselves and, developing our persona. So I remember this conversation vividly. We were in a hotel room. We were traveling together for golf. And then,
Langkawi?
no,
Okay.
this was, I can't remember exactly where,
Okay.
but it was 8 years ago.
Mm.
And you said to me, in female friends, you can't be too close. You don't remember, do you?
No.
I
Tell me more.
remember. And you said, we can't be too close. We can't see each other too often. I was
Yeah.
heartbroken because I was like, why can't I see you every day? I was at that stage where, no, I want to have my female friend. And I only had you.
Pause. You know why I probably said that?
I know.
Because
Now
when
I
I
know.
had my friend, I was so close to her, I was so clingy to her,
Yes,
I drove her away. I didn't want to
exactly.
lose you. You're all I had.
And but at that time we were
Yeah.
very new in the friendship
Mm.
and you did lessen the time we spent together.
Mm.
You did, and I remember right before you said that, the night before we went for dinner and you had a lot of attention
Mm.
from my group of friends. They were
Right.
my group of people. I
Right.
introduced you into the group, but everybody was all over you because you were such a Barbie
This
doll.
was Genting Highlands.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it was female or male, they were all over you.
Mm.
And I thought, wait, I lost all the attention.
Mm.
But it was never because of you. It was because of me. I noticed that coming up from myself. And like I said, jealousy is never in my system. But I asked myself, what am I feeling? It went back to, am I enough to be in this group?
Mm.
Now I'm not the most beautiful one I used to be. I'm the
Mm.
prettiest, I'm the popular one, I'm the successful one, I'm the smart one, I'm the kind one. It was all me. Then comes this new girl. I questioned myself. Am I good enough for this group? And again, that group of friends were all successful people.
Right.
We were
They
surrounded by
were.
successful individuals.
Yes.
And for me, I was never intimidated, I was always inspired.
Mm.
But when you came along, I questioned myself. It was never you whatever the
Mm.
cause. But we went back to our room, and this is what you said to me. You asked me, "Are you okay?" Because um, you sensed something. I was like,
Mm.
"Yeah, I'm okay," because I wasn't okay. And remember, what was my problem? Communication. And every time I tried to communicate my truth,
Mm.
my girlfriends would never be able to take it,
Right.
and I would be accused of lying.
Right.
So I did start lying. I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just a bit tired, and it's late night. I played golf like 2 rounds, and
Mm.
I think I got so obsessed I played like 3, 4 rounds that day.
Mm.
So I had something to blame it on. But the truth is, I was going through this underlying emotion where I questioned my worth,
Mm.
and it had nothing to do with you.
Mm.
But you sensed it, and you said, you know what, we shouldn't meet so much. We shouldn't develop this friendship too much. We shouldn't be
Mm.
too close because female friends can't be too close. But yours was a completely different perspective. You thought I was challenged by your beauty.
And that's why I thought I had to start dimming my light.
Exactly.
And so maybe just move away and respect your friends. And that's the thing.
Exactly.
I overthink a lot because I cannot
And I
lose.
kept inviting you, but you never came.
Yeah.
You stopped coming.
Yeah.
And then I went on to be, I was very busy. I was leading roles after roles after roles.
Right.
And then we lost touch a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you brought me back to that group.
Yep.
You
Yep.
brought me back to that group.
Yeah.
And it was so funny too because I'm like, that was my group. And then but I was never a jealous person. And I
Mm.
never questioned my
Mm.
friends. Because if my friends love you, that's great. I've
Right.
introduced someone great to the group.
Right.
I've brought something into the group, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, and also because we also need to understand that we don't ever own anyone, even
Absolutely.
our loved ones.
Exactly.
Everyone is their own individual, and
And
So that
nobody
was
owes
nice that
us
you were not
anything.
jealous that I
Yeah.
was friends with your friends, because obviously we were not talking ill of you.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed their company
Exactly.
too. I
And they
learned a
enjoyed
lot.
your company.
Yeah, but I'm glad it all worked out.
It did. And
It
then when
really
I got
did.
back to the group, that's when we started getting even closer.
Yep.
And that's when it all started.
Yeah.
And that's when you really got to know me. And you cried with me so many times. We cried, we laughed, we joked. Like, we had so much fun, even until
Mm.
today. And that's how we developed our friendship. And you know what sustained our friendship?
Mm.
Acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance of who you are and who I am. And you accepted me fully, and I accepted you fully. And I kept
Yeah.
reminding you, do not ever dim your light just because I'm there.
Mm.
And just because I'm not dressing up, it's not because I feel challenged or I need to keep up. No, it's because it's just not my priority.
Mm.
But it doesn't mean you have to lower down and follow me,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah. Another thing, I feel like I'm so glad you've learned how to voice out and not be
Communicate.
worried. Yeah, communicate and not
Mm,
be worried if the person may run or may not accept your truth. That's not your problem.
correct.
The only thing that you can do within your power is you speak your truth.
Mm,
And if somebody and understands it, accepts it, great, you guys got closer.
yeah.
But if they don't, then why waste time?
And also accept that that's okay.
Yeah.
That if your female friendship doesn't sustain, don't be so hard on yourself or your
Yep.
friend,
Yep.
because I'm very sure in friendship, it is always a lack of understanding what's the underlying emotion that's covered by a facade,
Mm.
you know? It's covered. And sometimes the reason why friends do not want to communicate it is because they don't know if the other person can understand their truth,
Yep.
what
But
they're
before
dealing
even
with.
that, some of them don't even know what they're actually going through.
And
S-
don't assume
Don't assume. Don't just see whatever that you get triggered about in that person, it's reflecting from what
you're
is
holding
your own,
on within.
yes, what you're lacking inside, what is your inner issue.
Mm,
Because if you're alone 24/7 in your life, nothing will trigger you. But it's only when you deal with
absolutely.
situations and different people and different scenarios is when things happen.
I want to touch a little bit on emotional intelligence because I feel like that is a key factor in sustaining a female friendship. Emotional intelligence is not something you develop overnight. And I've read a lot of books on emotional intelligence because I'm a psychologist and I have to do research. I have to understand what's found and what we can improve in. And I feel like it's so important and it should be implemented in schools.
But some people just don't have it.
But it can be developed.
How?
We're human beings, and that's
Mm,
emotions are a part of our nature.
correct.
It's a part of us. We all
Mm,
have felt at least the slightest bit of jealousy, anger, happiness, sadness, and under emotions there are underlying deeper emotions that is causing that main emotion.
mm,
So to get into this would be like an entire episode on its own, but I just
mm,
wanted to touch on a little bit. And if you have the opportunity to buy books on emotional intelligence, please do.
mm,
It will change your life because emotional intelligence is the ability to regulate your
right.
emotions. It's not entirely to ignore it or shut it down. It's to feel through it, it's to go through it, and the only way out is through. Because
Mm,
if not, you'll always constantly go through that emotional turmoil.
right.
And in order to sustain any form of relationship, whether it's female friendships, your relationship with your partner or your colleagues at work,
You need
it's very
EQ.
important
Mm,
to have emotional intelligence.
yeah.
And it's not entirely um, EQ. It's a part of EQ. EQ
Mm,
is actually very broad, but it's your ability to understand your own emotions and
mm,
understand that whatever people say to trigger you will not be able to manifest without your permission. You
mm,
can't be angry
mm.
if the person triggered you um is you're not giving it power to trigger you in the first place.
But for that
For
to happen, you
instance,
also need to really know yourself. You need to know your
that's where I'm
worth.
getting to. So, for
Yeah.
instance, if let's say, and I also want to touch on whatever you receive
Mm,
from another people that triggered your anger or your jealousy, it's
mm,
not coming from them because their intention is completely probably irrelevant to how you're feeling.
mm,
Nobody wakes up in the morning with an intention to hurt another human being. We go through our emotions depending on like the situation or the circumstance, and we go through it moment to moment.
mm,
And if you're able to grasp the elements of emotional intelligence, it will bring you far in so many different areas of your life. And I
Yep.
only recently learned that. I
Mm.
only recently was able to grasp the elements of emotional intelligence.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest factor in sustaining friendships,
Mm.
especially female friendships.
Yeah, especially females are so complicated. We go through so many emotions. As a friend, if you don't have emotional intelligence, how are you gonna realize certain things? And like you said, like it's very important for us to express and all that, like to voice out what we feel. Sometimes we're still human, right? Like how past few days,
Yeah.
I just didn't feel I wanted to speak out because I didn't even know what I was going through.
And you were afraid, to be honest, because we've had
Yes,
experiences and instances where you
right.
feel like she might not be able to hold space, and I'm not able
Yeah,
to also hold space for us because I'm in need.
yeah,
Yeah, so I understood that.
yeah.
And I
But
kept telling you, trust me.
true. But I felt like I should not say anything until I'm very well aware if I have done my work to figure out what is actually going on. Sometimes it's not like, oh, I feel something. I'm going to figure it right now. Oh, I've gotten it. Oh, Jude, this is what I'm going through. It takes time. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's very much more complicated in one scenario. It could be few things intertwined. It could be few people mixing emotions in my heart. So sometimes if one person fails to do the part that they're
mm,
supposed to, which is like
mm,
speak out or be honest, as a friend, because we're humans, we're not perfect, it's
absolutely.
okay to play therapist.
Yeah,
It's okay to probe. It's okay to play third person. Do not always put yourself as the
part
victim
of
or
the equation.
yes, sometimes just understand because people are complicated. And as
Yeah,
much as we think we know each other best, we still have a lot more to go.
that was a nice summary to our topic today, honestly. And for me, I guess I would like to end off with saying be open and accepting that it will take time to develop great friendships.
Mm,
And I'm really, really happy and proud to say that we've made it.
we've made it.
Hence this podcast.
I know you're not wearing sunscreen. You do know repeated sun exposure with little to no protection is going to cause damage to elastin, collagen, and skin cells. Do you know what that means?
But Julia, tennis was your idea.
Wearing sunscreen every day will prevent inflammation from UV rays. But Julia, swimming was your idea. Not without sunscreen. It is clean, uses plant-based ingredients, and good for all skin, especially sensitive skin. Your makeup with SPF is not enough. You have to use a lot more makeup to actually reach the label SPF. Use this. Its hydrating formula is going to give you a very dewy base. Trust me!
Julia, leave me alone!
No! Please, sun protection factor SPF protects you from a specific ultraviolet light called UVB.
But Julia, most of the sunscreen makes my skin sticky and I look grey.
Not Melissa. It is invisible with no white cast or a greasy residue. Won't leave your skin grey either. This is the vegan AirFit sunscreen with SPF 50+. This invisible ultralight facial sunscreen protects the skin from UV rays and pollution. Infused with nutrient-rich kale extract, the plant-derived formula delivers SPF 50+ protection while helping to moisturize and soothe the skin. The non-greasy, fast-absorbing texture keeps the skin hydrated with a matte finish.
You either wear this or haunt you for the rest of your life.
So we've come to the end of our very first episode on Girl Math Podcast. And honestly, I'm so proud of you, son, for the person that you've grown into. And I hope, I love you very much. And I would like to say overall, kepada yang, listening to us and watching us on YouTube, ikhlas dalam kawan. Kalau rasa tak sesuai and you tried everything and you don't vibe anymore, it's okay. Don't be hard on yourself or your friend because nobody wakes up with an intention to hurt another person.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through underlying emotions that they cannot navigate yet. It took me almost 10 years to navigate what I was going through in high school. So
Yeah.
chill out.
Yeah. And I think for me, also, Ju, I'm so proud of you because I really know your inner story and how far you've come and everything you've gone through. I don't think I could have done
Since
it.
day one.
You are so strong. I love you and I wish you nothing but the best. And for me, my takeaway from this entire thing of female friendship is that whatever you feel, because you're normal, you're human, whatever you feel, before you just go and blurt it out there, if you can, learn some patience, understand what you're going through, because you need to understand yourself before you can understand your friend and before you can feed your friend. Understand what you're going through and then speak it out. Kalau tak jadi, tak apa.
And don't blame anyone in your
Mm-mm.
life. Take full
Yep.
accountability and responsibility for how you're feeling and what you're going through.
Yes. And if you've tried your best and it's not working out, if you're exhausting yourself, then it's okay to let go because remember, you can never feed from an empty bowl.
I hope you guys really enjoyed our first episode as much as we did. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment because we'd love to have a conversation with you in the comment section below.
And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and X because we would love to connect with you.
See you in the next episode.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.